The morning of June 14th, 2025, dawned with a gentle warmth, the sun climbing steadily to warm the pavement as I stepped onto my porch at precisely 8:47 a.m. The air carried the faint scent of freshly mown grass and blooming lilacs, a quintessential summer prelude in my sleepy suburban town. It was one of those rare weekends unmarred by schedules or demands, a blank slate that stirred a restless curiosity within me. The neighborhood's annual yard sale, a tradition stretching back decades, called to me like a whispered promise of hidden treasures. A few blocks away, the atmosphere buzzed with life. The soft, rhythmic murmurs of neighbors haggling over prices, the high-pitched laughter of children darting between stalls, their voices weaving a fleeting melody against the hum of a cloudless day. As I drew closer, the streets transformed into a vibrant marketplace, colorful stalls springing up like wildflowers along the sidewalks, each a mosaic of personal histories laid bare for scrutiny. The Jenkins family, residents of the cul-de-sac, had erected a table groaning under an assortment of old toys. Ragged dolls with button eyes askew, board games with faded boxes and missing pieces, likely purging their home as their youngest prepared for college. Mrs. Rodriguez, her hands deft from years of craft, waved with a sun-weathered smile, her stall a kaleidoscope of hand-knitted scarves and beanies. Their woolen fibers dyed in rich earth tones and soft pastels, catching the light with every breeze. Nearby, the Thompson twins, now in their 20s, wrestled with the sale of their childhood tandem bicycle. Its rusted frame and chipped red paint a silent testament to their clumsy adolescent rides, a memory that tugged a nostalgic grin from my lips. Further down, Mr. Walters held court over a collection of vintage records, his voice rising with evangelical fervor as he extolled the virtues of analog sound to a cluster of teenagers, their expressions a mix of polite boredom and faint amusement, their earbuds dangling like lifelines to a different era. Beside him, Mrs. Bailey's table shimmered with handmade jewelry, delicate silver chains adorned with polished stones, their facets glinting like captured stars, each piece a labor of love. The street offered a gallery of the eclectic, a stand brimming with old video game consoles, their cartridges yellowed and labels peeling. Another with antique clocks, their ticking a discordant symphony of forgotten time, and an unsettling display of porcelain dolls, their glassy eyes fixed in eternal stares, their painted lips frozen in silent screams. I navigated the maze of tables, brushing past stacks of musty books with cracked spines, chipped teapots, and mismatched cutlery sets, the air growing rich with the aroma of Mrs. Patterson's chocolate chip cookies, their warm, buttery scent drawing a crowd as trays emptied with alarming speed. Amid this tapestry of the past, a glint pierced my attention, a faint shimmer of something old and tarnished nestled beneath a jumble of trinkets. Compelled, I approached a table that seemed a chaotic archive of forgotten lives, piled high with faded novels, worn board games, and dusty curios. My fingers, guided by instinct, brushed aside the clutter, revealing a camera, its leather casing weathered to a soft patina, the metal oxidized with streaks of rust, yet its lens gleamed with an unnatural clarity, like a window to another world. The weight of it settled into my palms, a solid anchor to history, and I traced its edges, envisioning the countless moments it had preserved, weddings, wars, whispers lost to time. "Ah, I see you found the old camera." A voice broke my reverie, rich with warmth and memory. The stall owner, a woman with silver hair pulled into a tight bun, her face a map of laughter lines, regarded me with eyes that hinted at familiarity, though her name eluded me. "It's beautiful," I murmured, cradling it like a sacred artifact, feeling the pulse of its past beneath my fingertips. She sighed, a sound heavy with nostalgia. "It belonged to my grandfather. He was a photographer, traveled the world with that thing. He believed it had magic in it." My curiosity piqued, I tilted my head. "Magic? What do you mean?" She chuckled, a sound both tender and tinged with melancholy. "Maybe not the kind you're thinking." He said it captured more than pictures, moments, feelings, the very soul of a scene. He used to say it had a soul of its own. Her words resonated, rekindling a belief I'd long cherished, that old objects harbor the echoes of their keepers. This camera, with its worn leather and enigmatic aura, felt like a vessel for untold stories, a treasure waiting to unveil its mysteries. "How much is it?" I asked, my voice cautious, my budget a limiting tether. She paused, her gaze drifting as if consulting a distant memory, then offered a gentle smile. "For you, $10. The price struck me as absurdly low for such a relic, and I protested, "Only $10 for something so precious?" Her smile widened, a maternal warmth in her eyes. "It's not about the money, dear. It's about finding the right person to continue its story. My grandfather would have wanted it that way." I handed over the bill, my thanks a quiet murmur, her eyes gleaming with a bittersweet mix of sorrow and hope. "Take good care of it. Remember, it's not just about taking photos. It's about capturing memories." With the camera nestled securely in my bag, I resumed my wanderings, a new excitement coursing through me, the weight of its history a tangible companion. By mid-afternoon, the yard sale's allure waned, replaced by an eager desire to explore the camera's capabilities. I retreated home, my mind alight with possibilities, and rummaged through a drawer to unearth a stash of film from a long-abandoned high school photography project. The film, slightly brittle with age, slid into the camera's ancient chamber with a satisfying click, a ritual that rekindled memories of darkroom lessons and the thrill of creation. Adjusting the settings, aperture, shutter speed, with a blend of reverence and anticipation, I set out for the local park, its sprawling lawns a canvas of life. Framing a group of children chasing a frisbee, their laughter a bright thread in the afternoon air, I pressed the shutter, the camera's mechanical click a heartbeat of satisfaction. The rush of capturing a moment surged through me, and I moved on, immortalizing a man lost in a novel beneath a gnarled oak, its leaves casting dappled shadows. A mother playing peekaboo with her baby, the infant's giggles a melody, and a couple sharing a picnic, their smiles framed by a checkered blanket against the green. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky with strokes of orange and pink, I ventured to the city's old bridge, its weathered arches reflected in the still water below, a perfect backdrop for a final shot. Just as I adjusted the focus, a gentle tap on my shoulder jolted me from my concentration. Turning, I met the wide-eyed grin of Jake, a high school friend whose face I hadn't seen in over a decade. "Emily, is that you?" he asked, his voice thick with disbelief, a hint of the past in his tone. "Jake!" I exclaimed, wrapping him in a spontaneous hug, the years dissolving in that embrace. His gaze dropped to the camera slung around my neck. "Taking up photography?" he inquired, a spark of recognition in his eyes. I nodded, launching into the tale of the yard sale, his eyebrows arching with intrigue as I recounted the stall owner's words. "You always did find unique treasures," he said, a smirk tugging at his lips, recalling our teenage forays into thrift stores and garage sales. "Mind if I join you on this photo spree?" he asked, his enthusiasm mirroring mine. "Of course not," I replied, thrilled at the prospect of reliving our shared history. Together, we meandered through the city streets, the golden hour casting an ethereal glow that softened the urban edges, highlighting the beauty in cracked sidewalks and weathered facades. Jake pointed out a street performer juggling flaming torches, the flames tracing arcs against the setting sun, his silhouette a striking contrast captured by the camera's click. For the next hour, we roamed alleys and quiet corners, our conversation a blend of laughter and reminiscence, punctuated by the serene stillness of hidden parks and forgotten stoops. The camera's winding mechanism eventually resisted, a gentle protest signaling the film's end, and as evening shadows stretched long and deep, we returned to our starting point. A warm, lingering hug sealed our reunion, promises to catch up soon hanging like a fragile thread between us as we parted. The following morning, Thursday, June 19th, 2025, at 7:32 a.m., the sun's golden rays pierced my blinds, rousing me with a surge of anticipation. The memories of the previous day, the camera's solid weight, the rhythmic clicks, flooded back, a nostalgic echo of my high school photography class. My heart raced at the thought of the undeveloped film cradled within its body, a mystery awaiting revelation. In my living room, I approached a corner transformed into a makeshift dark room, the blackout curtain drawn back to reveal a space meticulously arranged with trays, tongs, and chemical bottles. Switching on the dim red safety light, its eerie glow bathed the room in a surreal hue, the sharp scent of developer and fixer mingling in the air, a heady blend that stirred both excitement and caution. I laid out the equipment with methodical care, pouring the developer into one tray, the stop bath into another, and the fixer into a third, each movement a ritual honed from years past. A sudden knock at 8:15 a.m. jolted me, unexpected and insistent, the sound reverberating in the quiet. Hesitating, I set the film aside and opened the door to Jake's familiar grin. "Thought I'd swing by. Figured you'd be knee-deep in developing," he said, holding up a bag of freshly ground coffee beans, a wink softening his words. Grateful for the interruption, I stepped aside, ushering him in. The kitchen sprang to life with the gush of water, the clink of ceramic mugs, and the soft hum of the coffee maker, its rich aroma weaving through the room, chasing away the chemical tang. "How's it going?" he called, peering toward my dark room. "Just about done," I replied, sliding the film into the developer as we fell into easy conversation about the day ahead. After a time, I extracted the film, pinning the negatives to dry with clothespins, but a shadow of unease crept in as the images began to emerge. Scenes that bore no resemblance to our yesterday. Jake noticed my furrowed brow. "Everything okay?" he asked, handing me a steaming mug. Sipping the bitter warmth, I struggled to organize my thoughts. "These images, they aren't what we shot yesterday. It's like they've changed." His eyebrow arched, intrigue flickering in his eyes. "Changed how?" "I can't say yet," I admitted, uncertainty threading my voice. "Let's wait for the prints." Together, we gathered around the enlarger, its soft hum filling the space as the red light cast a muted glow. Blank paper beneath the lens slowly revealed the images, the outlines sharpening with each passing second. Exhilaration morphed into a heavy knot of confusion as the scenes materialized. Not the bustling streets, the amber-tinted skies, or the candid moments, but an abandoned house, its paint peeling like shed skin, windows shattered into jagged teeth, nature's tendrils reclaiming its bones, captured across the day's cycle, dawn, noon, twilight, and midnight. Gathering the trembling prints, my hands unsteady, I arranged them on the living room table, their progression unfolding like a sinister narrative. The house, a decaying sentinel, seemed to pulse with an unspoken intent, its image a thread connecting the impossible. "Jake, can you get over here?" I called, my voice tight with a dread I could no longer suppress. He abandoned his coffee, the jovial light in his eyes fading as he approached, his expression shifting to one of disbelief as he scanned the photos. "We didn't take these," he murmured, his voice a whisper against the room's stillness, his features etched with growing alarm. I nodded, running fingers through my hair in a futile attempt to anchor my spiraling thoughts. "How can this be? We were together all day." He rubbed his temples, searching for logic. Double exposure? Maybe someone tampered with the film. Holding the first print under the brighter light of a desk lamp, I traced a darker silhouette, a faint human form, its edges blurred as if merging with the shadows, a presence barely perceptible yet impossible to unsee. The second image, captured at noon, revealed the figure closer, standing near a decaying tree, its trunk twisted and barren, the brightness of midday illuminating every worn brick and shattered pane. Yet the figure remained an anomaly, its darkness defying the sun's touch, its face hidden, its posture suggestive of intent. The third, at twilight, painted the sky in hues of purple and gold, the house shrouded in semi-darkness that amplified its eeriness, the figure now at the entrance, its form more defined. A long, flowing cloak or robe draping its shoulders, hands or perhaps claws extending forward, a gesture that hinted at both invitation and threat. The fourth, at midnight, was the most haunting, the house nearly swallowed by encompassing darkness, illuminated only by the faint glow of moonlight, the figure looming large before it, dwarfing the structure, its presence intensely personal and menacing. No distinct features discernible, yet its proximity a palpable threat. Silenced by the weight of this revelation, I muttered, "I can't believe this." My voice barely a breath. Jake nodded, his face pale, the coffee forgotten. "We need to figure this out. Starting with this house," I said, pointing to the decaying structure that anchored each frame. He took a deep breath, rubbing his temples. "It's got to be real, right? Maybe if we find it, we'll get some answers." We turned to our laptops, the screens casting a cold light as we delved into historic home databases and local forums, sifting through tales of urban legends and forgotten buildings. Initial searches yielded intriguing stories, haunted manors, abandoned farms, but none matched our photos. Narrowing our focus to neighborhood blogs and social media groups, we stumbled upon a thread discussing derelict structures on the town's outskirts. Clicking through user-submitted images, I froze. An unmistakable match. The same broken windows, the same overgrown yard. A house abandoned for decades. Its original owners lost to time. Its location hinted at in vague references to a desolate, forgotten area. Excitement bubbled within me, mingling with a creeping fear as we gathered essentials. Flashlights with fresh batteries, a spare camera, bottled water, and set out, using a local landmark from the forum as our guide. The trail wound through thick woods, the path overgrown with brambles and roots, every rustle of leaves and distant animal call amplifying our anticipation. After what felt like hours but was likely closer to one, the trees thinned, revealing a clearing where the house emerged, its presence a silent scream against the natural backdrop. The silence was eerie, broken only by our cautious footsteps as we stepped into the open, taking in the sight. The house towered grander than the photos suggested, its once bright white exterior peeled to a mottled gray, scarred by wind and time, its windows gaping like dark, vacant eyes. The porch, spanning the width of the facade, sagged in places, its boards warped, the front door hanging crookedly on rusted hinges. The lawn had surrendered to wild growth. Tall grasses swaying, weeds choking the earth, gnarled trees with leafless branches casting long, twisted shadows that danced with the breeze. "It's even more creepy in person," Jake murmured, his voice low, a chill prickling my skin despite the warm day. "It feels, I don't know, alive, like it's watching us." I agreed, the sensation a tangible weight. We exchanged a glance, our shared unease a silent pact, and approached, the porch creaking ominously under our weight. Taking a deep breath, I reached for the doorknob, its cold metal sending a shiver up my arm, and pushed the door open with a slow, reluctant creak. Inside, dust hung like a thin veil, catching stray beams of sunlight that pierced through the broken windows, the wallpaper peeling in tattered strips to reveal aged wood beneath. The floor groaned under our tentative steps, layers of grime and dirt protesting our intrusion. To the left, the living room unfolded, a graveyard of faded furniture. A couch with its stuffing spilling like entrails, a toppled bookshelf with splintered shelves, a broken coffee table tilted on one leg. The fireplace, cold and unused for years, held remnants of charred wood, its mantel bare save for a layer of soot. Jake motioned toward a doorway. "This looks like the dining room," he said, and we stepped through, the air growing heavier. A long wooden table dominated the space, its surface cloaked in thick dust, but what seized our attention were the photographs spread across it. Old, their edges curled, colors faded to sepia, yet the images starkly clear. The first showed a happy family, 2 adults, 3 children, posing before the very house we stood in, their smiles frozen in a time long past. Another depicted a young woman, perhaps a daughter, by a tree, the house looming behind. Yet in each, a familiar sight chilled my blood. The shadowy figure, distant but present, its form a smudge against the light. Jake picked up a photo, his hands trembling slightly. "Emily, look at this," he said, pointing to an image of the front yard. A gathering, perhaps a birthday, with children playing and adults chatting. And there, at the edge, the shadowy figure, its outline slightly more defined, yet still an enigma. "It's been here for a long time," I murmured, my voice barely audible, the realization sinking deep. As we prepared to explore further, a faint sound froze us, subtle, almost drowned by the house's creaks, but unmistakable. Footsteps, emanating from the floor above. We exchanged a glance, Jake gesturing upward, mouthing upstairs. The notion that we weren't alone sending a chill down my spine. Could it be an animal? I whispered, clutching the photos closer. Jake shrugged. Maybe, but those sounded like human footsteps. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet the mystery of the photos of the figure held us fast. Jake grabbed a broken chair leg, holding it like a club. "Stay close," he murmured, and with a collective breath, we moved toward the staircase. The worn wooden steps groaned under our weight, each creak a heartbeat in the tense silence. At the top, the footsteps ceased, the sudden quiet almost jarring, replaced by faint whispers. Imperceptible words, their tone urgent, swirling around us. We stepped onto the landing, scanning a dimly lit hallway, doors on either side closed, their peeling paint and tarnished knobs hinting at abandonment. The whispers seemed to emanate from everywhere, their source elusive. "Do you hear that?" I asked quietly. Jake nodded. "Yeah, like voices, but I can't make out what they're saying." The whispers intensified as we moved, drawn to a door slightly ajar. With shared determination, I pushed it wider, revealing a child's bedroom, faded wallpaper with playful animal designs, old toys and books scattered like relics, and in the center, an old rocking chair moving slowly back and forth, though no one sat in it. The whispers peaked here, a cold breeze against my skin, too eerie to linger. We retreated, the tension amplifying with every creak of the floor. The whispers subsided, replaced by an oppressive silence as we entered a master bedroom. Faded drapes hanging limply, an old wardrobe reflecting our anxious faces, and a study, its shelves sagging with aged books, a typewriter with yellowed paper, yet no answers. Approaching the final room, we hesitated, then pushed the door open. One wall was plastered with photographs from floor to ceiling, spanning decades. A black and white image from the early 1900s showed a bustling market, the figure a faint outline at the edge. A sepia beach scene with families, the figure gazing at the horizon. A 1950s city street, its shadow more defined. A 1980s playground, its form tangible yet vague. A recent photo matched the house's current decay. The figure at the gate. A gust slammed a door, the air chilling. Inside, a table held a photo. Us with the figure behind, closer than ever. "We need to leave," I whispered. Descending, whispers pursued, and outside, we fled, the house silent yet ominous. "What does it want?" Jake asked. "It's been watching long, trapped, seeking something," I replied. He eyed the camera. "We need to destroy it." We built a bonfire, the camera melting into ashes, a weight lifting as its curse faded. Have you ever held an object that watched back? Would you dare destroy it to escape its gaze?